Wait, that's happened? One of the most curious history episodes you probably didn't know is that during World War II, the Soviet Union trained dogs to blow up tanks. Yes, you heard that right. Dogs, man's best friend, were turned into living anti-tank weapons in one of the most bizarre and tragic military programs ever attempted. The story begins in the desperate early years of the Second World War. When Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, Hitler's armies advanced with terrifying speed, backed by waves of panzers, sleek, powerful tanks that crushed everything in their path. The Red Army, caught off guard and poorly prepared, scrambled for ways to slow the German onslaught. They needed a weapon that could stop tanks, and they needed it fast. That's when military planners turned to an unusual ally: dogs. Dogs had long been used in the Soviet Union for military purposes, carrying messages, guarding bases, and even pulling supply sleds. But under the pressure of invasion, Soviet commanders came up with a shocking new idea. What if dogs could be trained to run underneath enemy tanks with explosives strapped to their backs? The concept was simple, brutal, and horrifying. Each dog would carry a mine with a trigger attached to a wooden lever sticking up like an antenna. When the dog dove under a tank, the lever would strike the belly of the machine, detonating the charge and destroying both the tank and the animal. Training began at special schools where hundreds of dogs, many of them German shepherds, were prepared for their grim mission. Instructors starved them before meals and placed food beneath parked tanks, teaching the animals to associate crawling under these giant machines with survival. The hope was that in battle, hungry dogs would instinctively dash under enemy tanks in search of food, triggering their explosives and halting the German advance. But war rarely follows neat plans. When the program was unleashed on the battlefield, chaos erupted. Many of the dogs panicked amid the deafening thunder of gunfire, explosions, and roaring engines. Some bolted in the wrong direction, returning to Soviet trenches with their explosives still strapped on. Others froze in fear, and in a cruel twist of irony, many had been trained exclusively on stationary Soviet tanks. When the moment came, they ran toward the familiar smell of diesel used by their own army's vehicles, igniting explosions beneath the very machines they were supposed to protect. Despite these failures, there were reports that the dogs did destroy some German tanks. Soviet records claim dozens of enemy vehicles were lost to the anti-tank dogs, though historians debate the accuracy of these numbers. German accounts certainly mention the strange tactic, describing soldiers shooting at dogs on sight as they dashed across the battlefield. Whether effective or not, the program struck terror into both sides, not only for the danger it posed, but for the haunting sight of loyal animals turned into weapons of war. As the war dragged on, the program was gradually abandoned. By 1943, the Soviets shifted toward more conventional and reliable anti-tank weapons, like mines, grenades, and rocket launchers. The dogs had simply proven too unpredictable, and the risks to their own forces too great. Still, the anti-tank dog program left its mark, a bizarre footnote in the brutal history of World War II. Looking back, the story forces us to confront the extremes of human desperation in wartime. In the face of annihilation, the Soviets were willing to try anything, even sacrificing their most loyal companions. It's a tale that shocks modern audiences, not only because it's a true historical event, but because it highlights how far nations will go when pushed to the edge. The anti-tank dogs never became the decisive weapon the Red Army hoped for, but they remain one of the strangest military experiments in history. A mix of tragedy, ingenuity, and futility, the program stands as a chilling reminder that in war, even the bond between humans and animals can be twisted into something unrecognizable. So the next time you hear unbelievable true stories or funny history stories that seem too absurd to believe, remember this one. In the darkest days of World War II, the Soviet Union really did unleash dogs trained to blow up tanks. And that's not a myth, not a legend, but a strange, sad, and very real chapter of history you didn't know. If you enjoyed this strange piece of history, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more.